Hi everyone. So I was just sort of sitting here looking at the options I have to put in here, and I do have three different types of proto board that I could put in here. And I could put in a bigger one, give myself more space. So after a bit of deliberation, I decided that this one would be good. I have plenty of space to put the EQ, and then I'm planning on putting in 3 clean boosts because the EQ I have is actually passive and it needs to be boosted. So what's good about this is it should slot over these two negative ends on the LEDs and fit right there. And then I can put some bare wire on the pots underneath, or just put wires jutting out so I could put in. So yeah, I can start working on this and then just basically set up all the other wiring to go around it and then drop this in and solder in the ends. Hi everyone. I'm happy to say last night I tackled about 8% of the pedal build. I had a hard time setting up my camera for a time lapse of the soldering, so instead I took pictures that I'll be going through in a slideshow. First I try and set up points to mount the proto board onto. These are just pictures to get an idea of where I place the components inside the enclosure. First I set up a ground wire and tack it to the pots. Next, I put my plus 9 volt line out and connect it to the positive ends of the LEDs. Next, I extend my ground wire to the other pots and other positions and onto the bypass. Next, I set my input in from the input jack. I set up my output wire connected to the bypass. Next, setting up my LED on the bypass. This is a picture of Bell. Pre-wiring a majority of the pots for the EQ. Next, I'm seeing how the proto board will fit. Finishing up some of the hot lines. Adding additional wiring to the pots to wrap around the proto board. As you can see here, I really took my time just to make this whole pedal look very nice and aesthetically pleasing with the wiring in the back of where I'm going to put the proto board. Next, I have the circuit all patched out on this piece of proto board. I'm not too happy about how janky the resistors look, but nothing's gonna touch. It should all be static. In this circuit, we have the components for the EQ circuit up here. This time around, I decided to put a boost before the EQ circuit because it is a passive EQ circuit and it kind of needs a kick in the ass. Then down here, I have the 2 boost circuits. Then off to the sides I have inputs and outputs for the circuits and ground lines and plus 9 volt lines. I don't know if you can see in here, but I have 2 pieces of wire sticking up that I'm going to try and drop the proto board onto and solder at a certain height so it's not touching the pots underneath. So next I'll mount the proto board in and start soldering. Here I mount the proto board. I take the wires that were attached to the pots behind it and insert them in the appropriate places, finishing up the wiring on the DP-DT switch for the overdrive. This is the asymmetric diode overdrive I'm putting in. Then this is the finished wiring. So I've just finished the build. Now the most important thing to do is test the LEDs. Oh, looks like the bypass is already pressed down. Let's do boost B. Oop. Uh-oh. Might have blown the LED there. Alright, well, while we have this on, let's test the other ones. Alright, EQ light turns on, and overdrive light turns on. Yeah, I wonder what's causing that to not work. I'll open it up. So, I kind of had the suspicion that the LED blew because I didn't have a resistor at the ground end, and that was true. So fortunately, it looks like I should be able to just get in there and replace the LED. It's a shame though, it was such a good build. But, it should be good as new after I get a new LED in there. And that was just for indication anyways. So I'm very fortunate that ended up being such an easy fix. All I really had to do was unsolder the ground end of the LED, then lift up the proto board because it really was only connected at 2 points in the bottom, and then I was able to get some tweezers in there and take the LED out and put one back in. So let's try this again. We got our bypass, turns on. Then we got our boost B, that LED is working fine. Then we got our EQ, which we can switch on, and we got our overdrive, which we can switch on. So yeah, more LEDs, more fun, you know? Alright, just gonna show you what I'm working with here first. This is one of my custom-made guitars that I've obviously customized myself. We're going into the Cranberry King V1.1, then into my tweeter amp, and unfortunately I didn't have the mount for my SM57, so I'm just using my vocal mic to capture the audio. So I got everything set up and started playing until I turned on the pedal and got this piercing scream coming from it. It was a near crippling blow to my self-esteem, but I kept my head in the game and realized that I was using just a wall plug-in power supply when I really needed to use my isolated power supply for my pedal board. After I plugged that in, everything was fine. It just goes to show you the true value of having an isolated power supply. In the following setup, I'm using no other pedals. I'm just plugging my guitar into the Cranberry King, then into the amp. The first setting I test is my clean setting, which is a split coil bridge and a split coil middle mixed together. The next thing I'm going to use is my dirty setting, which is just the bridge full humbucker. Of course, these are just simple demos, and the pedal will have to be tested more extensively. I'm very happy to finally have this build finish. There were many setbacks along the way, but I'm happy I powered through because it ended up all working in the end. So I'd like to thank you for joining in on this version update. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Or if you like what you heard, please let me know. I don't imagine I'll be putting out another serious build for another week or so. Just sort of need to recover from this one. I had the time during the long weekend to finish this build, and I've been having a lot of fun making these videos. So I want to wish you a good night, and I'll probably be working on some synth stuff in the next video.